What is going on, guys? Kenny here from 619 Guitars and Gear, and welcome back to another review video. Today we are going to check out the SN1000HT from Esp Ltd. Alright, well, welcome back to another video. If you're new here, my name's Kenny, and if you missed the last two videos I put out, those were both on Esp Ltd. One was on the 2024 releases, and then the last one was the unboxing of this beautiful guitar. I will put the link to the unboxing up here so you can check that one out first. But basically in those videos I had said how I really wanted to wait and buy a 2024 model, because there's one or two that I think are awesome and I really want to get. But I just didn't want to go ahead and put a pre-order in and, you know, things maybe get delayed. I'm not sure how LTD is on getting their new releases out on the dates they say they're going to be out. The date I saw the most was February 28th. But what I figured I could do is the next best thing and buy a 2023 model that I've always had my eye on since it came out. And like I said, that is this Ltd SN1000HT. And then when those new models get released, I can either sell this and get one of them or trade this in or something. I'm at the point where I have so many guitars that I have to either trade one in or sell one to get a new one because I just have no room at all. But with that being said, let's go ahead and check this thing out, because that's why we're here, isn't it? So like I said, it is the SN1000HT, and this thing has some awesome specs and it looks absolutely awesome too. So let's get right into the specs here. Starting at the body, you have a swap ash solid body. Now what they do is they throw this thing in the sandblaster, and since the grain is softer than the rest of the wood, it kind of etches it out, and it just gives it a really unique look. And I've done it to a couple of my projects, on like my headless, on this old 97 LTD Horizon here. And I love it. I love the way it looks, and it's kind of a fun process to do. And then you can go in and kind of backfill the grain so you can see how the grain is black. In the last video, I had called this finished Fire Burst, and it's actually called Fire Blast. And it's kind of like your old vintage classic Sunburst that everyone loves, just with a modern twist on it. And it's got a matte poly finish on it, so it just looks really good. And I absolutely love it. Then you have this single one-ply pick guard, which is plastic, but it almost has like a brushed metal look. You can see there's some lines etched into it, and it just, again, instead of it just being flat plastic, it just gives it a unique look. So that's really cool. Moving on to the neck, you have a roasted maple bolt-on neck. It is a thin U shape, so really comfortable to hold and play. It has a matte finish on it, so I absolutely hate gloss finishes. I don't know if it's just me, but I am a big fan of either the oiled necks or like the matte poly finish necks. It just has a really good fast feel to it. Not that I'm a shredder, but it just feels really good. You have a Macassar ebony fretboard. You have 22 extra jumbo stainless steel frets, which is awesome. Love the fact that it has stainless steel frets on it. And then from the 17th to the 22nd fret, you are scalloped, which I have literally zero experience with any kind of scalloped frets. And I by no means am a shredder, so it really doesn't do me any good. But I can see why they would do it for people that are doing the whittly diddlies. And yeah, it's kind of a unique feature, and I think it's awesome. You have regular pearloid dots for the fret markers, regular white side dots. As far as the radius for this fretboard, it is a 300 to 400 millimeter compound radius, which is basically a 12 to 16 inch compound radius. And yeah, that's a really cool feature too. For the truss rod, they put it down here, the spoke wheel style truss rod, which is awesome. It's just so much easier to work with. You just literally get the little rod that it comes with, and you can adjust it on the go instead of having to take off a cover. And it kind of just cleans up the whole headstock area, which is awesome. As far as hardware, you are with LTD locking tuners. I'm not sure if someone else makes these tuners for them, but they seem to be pretty solid. So that is awesome. Oh, and I should mention you also have a bone nut, so that's really cool too. And then you have this real hip shot bridge, and nothing I love more is when they actually put like real name brand stuff on a guitar. And I love hip shots bridges. They're really cool. I own a few of them, and it's just real good quality stuff. And then for the electronics, you have one volume with the push-pull. Actually, the push-pull is on the tone, sorry. One volume, one tone, three-way switch, and a set of the Fishman modern active pickups. And I believe it's a ceramic and an Alnico. And then the electronics are actually Fishman brand too. I'm not sure about the switch, but I know the volume and tone are potentiometers are Fishman brand. So that's a really good thing too, because Fishman does make some really good potentiometers. So yeah, so this thing is just loaded with really awesome specs, and not only does it look great, but it feels great to play, and then it just has some real good name brand stuff on it. So as always, what I like to do is throw this thing on the bench. I want to take a bunch of measurements, see how this thing comes set up from the factory. I can already tell the action is super high, and I can tell there's a lot of relief in the neck, which is I mean, cool for some people, but I'm probably going to be changing that. But I wanted to see where it's at, and then I want to pop this pick guard off and see exactly what's going on underneath that. So let's go ahead and put it on the bench. All right, first thing I want to do is, I mean, just by looking at it, I can tell there is a ton of relief in this neck, but we're going to check it anyway. I mean, I can just tell just the string height difference on the ends of the neck compared to the middle, that there's a decent amount of relief. But we're going to get the 25.5 inch scale length straight edge here. Yeah, you can totally tell how much relief there is. I mean, just by shining the light on it, there is a ton of relief. I'm going to take some of that relief out when I set this thing up, but just wanted to show you how this came from the factory. And obviously, the action's pretty high too. But let's go ahead and check the action real quick. All right, we're going to go ahead and check the action. I have my Music Nomad string action gauge here. Start with millimeters, 12th fret. Now this is with no capo on the first fret. Dang, we're at like 2.25 millimeters. That's pretty high. Then it seems to gradually drop to 2 millimeters, but that is still pretty high for a factory setup. Now this thing could have moved around. I mean, it came from a warehouse in Virginia, so I mean there might have been some temperature changes and stuff, but pretty much 0.09 to 0.08 in inches here. So we're definitely going to be bringing that action down and straightening the neck when I go to set this up for myself here. All right, let's go ahead and take some measurements here. So on the website it says the nut width is 42 millimeters. Exactly what I'm getting here. We'll go to first fret, 43. Let's do center of the neck, 50. And we're going to do 17th fret, 55. That's width. Let's do thickness here. So at the first fret, we are at 21. Middle of the neck, 22. Now let's do the 14th fret because it starts to get into the neck heel here. 23. So not too bad. Let's move on here. All right, so as you know, what I like to do is go into cavities and stuff. So I removed all the pickguard screws and I raised the pickups up. Just it makes it kind of easier to get on and off so they don't like hit any lips. Mostly makes it easier to get back on. But let's check out what's under here. Oh yeah, got a nice amount of slack. So you will see the shielding paint is kind of lacking. I'll have to maybe get the meter and test it and see if it's even really doing anything. Obviously the routes and everything look great. That was an interesting route for sure. The fact that this one's like super big. I'm assuming they put the same route in all the SN bodies just because they have all different pickup configurations. So that is pretty interesting. Let's check out these electronics, see if I can get this flipped over here. So everything looks really good. The wiring looks nice and pretty neat. You have a Fishman potentiometer, Fishman push-pull potentiometer. You have a nice looking switch. Let's see who that's made by. I don't see any name brand on that, but everything looks good. Soldering looks great. Looks really, really good under here. The only thing that's really kind of concerning, I would say, is the shielding paint. All right, so just out of curiosity, I'm going to go ahead and test this shielding paint. I know there's a whole bunch of science behind it. I'm not really going to get into it because I don't really understand half of it. But how I always have tested shielding paint is I just put my meter in a mode to where it beeps when you have a complete circuit. I don't know how well you can hear that, but it's beeping. And then I'll just feel around and see if it's, going to make a complete connection. It's going to beep. So let's go ahead and just try this out. We'll put the negative here. It's beeping. So, I mean, it does seem to be doing something. Could it be better? It could be way better, yeah. All right, we're going to do a little bit of a sound demo. We're going to do some high gain stuff. We'll do a little bit of a clean tone, but honestly, when I pick this thing up and play it, it doesn't really want to make me play in clean, but I'll do a little snippet just so you get an idea of what it sounds like. As always, we'll go through all the different pickup positions, and I will click on the second voice just so you can get an idea of what that's like. Honestly, it's not a huge difference. It kind of just gives it like that passive feel. We are tuned to drop C sharp with the stock 10 to 46 strings. As always, going into the quad cortex using the Fortin capture that I use in pretty much all my videos. All right, before we wrap this video on up, I just figured I'd talk about my final thoughts and talk about the QC on this fine guitar here. I've unboxed guitars of all price ranges, low, medium, $1,000 plus. There always just seems to be something that I find QC wise, whether it's like fret ends, something on the fretboard, something in the finish. There's just always something, whether it's minor or major, that I find. And if you go on any like the forums online, which are, some of them are really toxic, you always just hear people complaining. And there's those people that complain, oh, it's the guitars coming from China. Oh no, it's the guitars coming from Indonesia. Honestly, I see problems with guitars coming from everywhere, even like Fender custom shops. So it's like you can't really pick one place that is the guitars what the problems are coming from. This is a Korea model, and I have to say, this thing is awesome. It's flawless. There's not one complaint I have for QC. The fret ends are absolutely amazing. The fretboards, like the shape of the fretboard, just the edges and everything, there's not one tooling mark or anything like that. It's kind of shocking, honestly. It's weird getting a guitar and not having to do anything to it besides set it up. Usually I gotta like, oh, this fret's a little sharp. Oh, we got a high fret here. There's just always something I usually have to do. And this one, I don't have to do anything. So it's kind of weird for me, honestly. I checked the frets off camera, and there's not one high fret. They are perfectly level. The fret ends are great. Fretboard condition is amazing. The finish on the body, I mean, it's a matte finish with the, the heavy sandblasted swamp ash. So, I mean, can you really gripe about anything, because it's going to have its own kind of character as it is. But the matte finish is in great shape. The matte finish on the back of the neck is great. Yeah, you can feel like maybe 1 or 2 or 3 specks of maybe like little tiny pieces of dust under the finish. But that's not really something I'm going to gripe about, because that's going to smooth out over time playing it. And yeah, QC-wise, I literally have 0 complaints on this guitar. I mean, it came in great condition. This little scratch on the pickguard, I believe I put on there just playing too hard. And yeah, I mean, pickguards are going to get scratched up. There's really nothing you can do about that. But as far as coming from the factory, this thing came absolutely perfect, I should say. And it plays really, really good after getting it set up. After we had it on the bench, I set it up for myself, put the action, and adjusted the truss rod where I like everything. And I've stretched out the strings, tuned it, and I really haven't had to tune it. The locking tuners, everything's just staying where it is, and I really haven't had to touch it. So that's really, really awesome. I've been enjoying playing this guitar. I put more time in on this guitar than I usually do when I get a new guitar. It's just because it's kind of just sucked me in, and that says a lot. So I've been playing this thing a lot, and it's really fun, and I've been enjoying my time with this guitar for sure. But that's all I really have to say about it. I suggest if you're interested in trying one of these, don't be scared to try one. I think you will be super happy. So honestly, guys, that's about it. Stay tuned for some upcoming videos. I appreciate you guys watching if you made it here to the end. And as always, stay safe, be a good person, and we will see you in the next video.